Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. We're staying on security. We started this yesterday, spoke about the goings on in the security sector, especially against the backdrop of the Kuje Correctional Centre hit, which has been claimed by ISWAP. Now, our guest today, this morning, is Senator Shehu Sanni. Senator Shehu Sanni is a well-known Nigerian, an author, playwright, human rights activist, and indeed was the senator of the Kaduna Central Senatorial District, which goes back to when he won that election in 2015. A fine morning to you, Senator.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed. Especially leaning on your human rights activism and also keeping an eye on the polity. This subject of ISWAP, for example, and the growing influence and spread that it seems to be having, I thought it could bear a little sort of clarification from some of your insights. Sometimes Boko Haram and ISWAP, Islamic State of West Africa Province, ISWAP, will clash with each other. And other times, they seem to be working in tandem. In fact, take the Kaduna Abuja train that was hit and kidnapped, passengers were kidnapped. ISWAP, we have heard talk that ISWAP might have been involved, but when ISWAP hit the Kuje prison, they freed, we hear anywhere from between 60 to 90 Boko Haram prisoners. Give me your sort of view on this perhaps mix-up in the minds of members of the public there who aren't security, shall we say, professionals or security conscious. The difference between ISWAP and Boko Haram, where they come together and where they seem to fight each other.
Thank you for having me once again. Well, first of all, the terror group Nigerians have been familiar with over the years has been Boko Haram. And we all know how Boko Haram came into existence. That was through the founder, the late Mohammed Yusuf. And when he was killed, Shekau took over. Now, Boko Haram was a local terror organization from the northeastern part of Nigeria at that very time. Then it expanded, and this expansion is not simply about the expansion of their areas of attack and influence, but they expanded by aligning themselves with Al Qaeda. And you all know Al Qaeda was founded by Osama bin Laden. And as such, their allegiance to Al Qaeda made them an affiliate of Al Qaeda as an organization. Now, ISIS came into being with the collapse of Iraq after the invasion, and also with the situations around Syria. And then they founded what was called ISIS, and ISIS was founded by al-Baghdadi. And to get you back, Al Qaeda was founded by Osama bin Laden. Now, ISIS became a rival group to Al Qaeda in terms of their terror attack because it's after the September 11 attack on the United States, Al Qaeda influence started waning with the attack or the overthrow of governments of Iraq and Afghanistan. And now, al Baghdadi became the leader of a new terror group, which is ISIS, which expanded influence from Iraq to Syria. And then, when al Baghdadi was at his peak, he decided to expand the organization. And then, now, some elements of Boko Haram who broke away from Boko Haram now set up their own affiliate of ISIS here. And ISIS in this part of the world is called ISWAP, which means in the whole West African province, which includes even southern parts of Algeria, Mauritania, Mali, Niger Republic, and Burkina Faso. You have the Islamic State in West Africa. Now, you see, in Nigeria, we are dealing with three Islamist, four Islamist groups. The Boko Haram we know, then there is ISWAP, and there is Ansaru, and there is Darul Islam. The last two, which is Ansaru and Darul Islam, are not well known as ISWAP and Boko Haram. So the attack on Kaduna Abuja train uh, uh, bears the semblance of ISIS and Boko Haram. And then it's also important that people understand the difference between terrorists and bandits. Well, bandits are also terrorists, but the difference in their operation is that these four groups, Boko Haram, ISWAP, Ansaru, and Dar Islam, they have an Islamist jihadist agenda, which is to capture state power and impose an Islamic state on Nigeria. But bandits are only involved in kidnapping for ransom. So when bandits attack, they take on hostages, and when you pay them ransom, they release your hostage. And then, but in case of this terror Islamist group, hostage ransom for hostage is not their major agenda. They have a political agenda. They have a theocratic agenda. So it means that when they raid a village, they preach, they convert, sometimes even they induce the population with money. And both the Islamists and the terror group are virtually not in, they are at war. The Islamists and the bandits are at war with each other because their objectives are quite different. If you can remember, there was an attack in Kasina on government secondary school Kankara. Well, that was done by bandits. And then at that time, the bandits tried to reach out to the Boko Haram tried to reach out to the bandits. But it's difficult for the bandits and the Islamists to work together because the bandits are basically about money. And then the Islamists are about establishing a state for theirs. So, and there is still rivalry between Boko Haram and the ISWAP. Well, it has been speculated even that ISWAP were responsible for the killing of the leader of Boko Haram, which was Shekau. So the attack on the Abuja correctional facilities was indeed done by ISIS to free their members. Uh, for the last 12 years, many members of these terror groups were arrested and brought to Abuja. And then court remanded them in Kuje prison. So the mistake the Nigerian state did was to put all the terror suspects in one place. And when you gather them in one place, there is bound to be consequences. I have been in prison many times in my life, and I know that when we are in prison, we plot, even as activists in fighting for democracy. We still sit down together and plot how we continue the struggle. It's part of it. So when you put Ansaru, Darul Islam, ISWAP, and Boko Haram in one place, it is the most dumbest thing for the Nigerian state to do. And one thing you should also remember, one thing you just take note is that it is impossible for the prison system, which is a paramilitary organization, to keep in custody these dangerous criminals without the support of the army. The Kuje prison facility is supposed to be surrounded, there's supposed to be a permanent military base close to it. The rifles that are being used by prison guards cannot match those of the terrorists. So you can see that uh, bandits, when they attack worshiping places, whether it is
Mm.
church or mosque, is to take hostages for ransom. But when terrorists attack, they have the intention of conversion. For example, in parts of Kaduna State, you have places controlled by bandits, you have places controlled by Islamist terrorists. In areas of Benungwari, it's mostly Islamist terrorists, and that is why you see them issuing statements that nobody should go into campaign, forcing people that they must go to Friday prayers, and also imposing tax, and also moving into the hinterlands and preaching. That is all Islamist terror groups. And sometimes during Ramadan fasting, they share grains. They go in enlightening people and indoctrinating and winning over people. The difference between them and bandits is that you will not find them raping women and molesting women because they portray themselves to be Islamists trying to purify the society and impose an Islamic state. But the bandits are involved in these acts. So the network is diverse. The headquarters of the bandits is Zamfara State, where you have the leaders of the group like Bello Turji, Manjagara, Aleri, and others. The attack on Bethel Baptist High School in Kaduna was done by bandits. The attack on Greenfield University, Kaduna, was done by bandits. The attack on Federal College of Mechanization, Kaduna, was done by bandits. And you can see each time the bandits attack, they take their hostages from the area where they kidnap them to Zamfara because Zamfara has become like a hub, like a headquarters of bandits. But the Islamists are mostly headquartered in Niger State. So they control territories and sometimes they fight between each other. So this is to give you a brief explanation
Thank you
of
very much, Senator. Indeed, it gives us a fine bird's eye view of what's going on. Now, the Islamists, especially the ISWAP people, sort of distinguished, they actually want to set up an Islamic caliphate. So far, it's in their area, and it's all, if you want, ideological, it's religious, it's based on Islam. But the Nigerian state cannot allow that. So when is this going to end? Because the army will dislodge them sometimes, then they'll, recover, lost territory. Yet their ultimate objective to most Nigerians is that, no, it's not negotiable. You can't carve out, because this has overtures of Afghanistan, doesn't it, Senator? How much of a danger is that?
well, it's not simply about Nigeria, but where have they been successful in establishing an Islamic state? That's the question. It's not just Nigeria that is a multi-religious state, half Muslim, half Christian. It's not just Nigeria. Have they been able to establish an Islamic state in Egypt? No. Have they done it in Libya? No. Have they in Tunisia and Algeria? They couldn't. Have they been able to do it in Yemen? They couldn't. Have they been able to achieve that with terror attacks in Saudi Arabia? No. What of Syria? No. So it's not simply about Nigeria. And if you look at what is happening in West Africa, look at it very well. They launch attacks, kill attacks on churches of mosques, and kill military personnel and government officials in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Mauritania, in Niger Republic. Have they been able to achieve by establishing an Islamic state there? No, it's not possible. So, in their own delusion or illusion, is that they believe that with the use of arms, terrorizing people, that they can establish an Islamic state. But where has established Islamic state ever been established? Somalia is a country in the Horn of Africa. They have 99% Muslim population. Al Shabaab have been operating there for close to 2 decades, and they have not been able to establish an Islamic state. So, what we have to understand to ourselves is that terrorism is a 21st century challenge by demented people who pick up arms with their own vision of trying to establish a caliphate. But they will not be able to achieve what they want to achieve, but it is a cancer, possibly, that will continue to fight until we achieve victory. It is a major challenge and a threat to peace and stability of the world of today. And it's not just Nigeria. Almost countries of the world are fighting this. Indonesia is fighting this. Central African Republic is fighting this. And in Mozambique, until Paul Kagame sent his troops to Delgado in northern part of Mozambique to dislodge the Islamists, they are also facing the same challenge. So they don't care whether it's just 1% Muslim or 2%. But the question is, are Muslims themselves interested in establishing an Islamic state courtesy of terrorists? Nobody is. And everyone is almost a victim of what is happening. So the danger of a multi-religious state like this is whenever people people who try to think that the actions of Islamic terrorists represents the intention, the interest, the views, and the vision of Muslims, which is not true. Uh, they kill Muslims who don't agree with them. They attack Muslims who don't agree with them. And they believe that with the use of force, they can simply get everyone to surrender, which is not possible.
Okay.
So this is a
But
war.
Senator, so sorry for interrupting you, Senator. When you say that they, I imagine, I'm sure you're talking about ISWAP, that they
Yes.
attack Muslims who don't agree with them. How about the premise that ISWAP, coming from ISIS, was actually disapproving of the methodologies of Boko Haram, sometimes using women and children as shields, sometimes just random violence in the society. They thought it should be a bit more structured. And in that sense, ISWAP sort of has taken on Christian targets, let it be said. They are more interested in their ideological business, their ultimate goal, which is, a caliphate. So when you say that they will attack Muslims that don't agree with them, is it also the same as attacking Christian targets? And I don't know if Boko Haram was also known to be doing that, but ISWAP certainly seems to have zeroed in on Christian targets.
Well, you see, the agenda of Boko Haram and ISWAP is almost the same, but the difference uh, is the approach. Um, as for Boko Haram, the ISWAP view them as being too extreme in the sense that Boko Haram has been attacking even Muslims and killing Muslims, and they don't spare anybody. So that does not mean that if you are opposed to their armed Islamism, that ISWAP will not come after you. But I think what they try to do is to portray themselves as different, and that is why you will see that uh, after they have crushed Shekel, they adopted a policy of trying to win over fighters to themselves. They go to villages in Niger State and parts of Kaduna State with grains, and they give money and they provide social services. And sometimes even they present themselves as people who will protect villages against bandits. So the objectives, what they all want to achieve is the same. But it's all these ones have a new strategy of attracting recruits, of getting sympathy, and this is what they have been doing in Yobe State. And the difference between Boko Haram and ISWAP is that ISWAP tends to be stronger now because the influence and strength of Al Qaeda has been waning compared to ISWAP. So the Al Qaeda side is weaker than, and then for the Boko Haram, Shekau seems to be everything. He decides what to be done, and then he is almost the commander and everything. But ISWAP is an athlete, and they have a bigger actor somewhere who funds them, who equips them, who directs them what to do, and they have rules of engagement and things they should do and things they should not do.
Mm.
So that is
Okay.
actually different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the big difference, as you're just pointing out, is that Boko Haram, the leadership under Shekau, was not really that agreeable to taking, submitting totally to the central authority of, shall we say, ISIS, and
Yes,
that was always a problem anyhow.
yes. And just to cut you short, if you listen to the audio of the last audio that was sent from Shekau online, you will see that he lamented how he tried to align himself with ISIS and that he tried to defend his own strategy. And from his own last presentation, you can see that clearly he knew that he is being targeted and he is being surrounded and they are going to come after him.
Mm-hmm.
So his last audio was sort of a desperation that I am the one doing the right thing, but if you think I'm doing the wrong thing, you should sit down and then we talk. But at that time, they
Yeah.
have already made a clear resolve on what they are going to do with him. And then they virtually surrounded him, took money of his men, and then he committed suicide. And that became
Okay.
the end of it. When you talk of
Mm.
attack on churches, and well, this is this can be done both by bandits and terrorists. But if you are kidnapped by a bandit, if you pay, you can get out. But that may not be the case of Islamists, and that is why you can see that people like Leah Sharibu and others, if they were in the hands of bandits, when money is paid, they will be out. But they are in the hands of Islamic terror groups who knew very well that keeping her with them will continue to put them on the front line of news and is also part of their own achievement. They see that. So churches in Kaduna State, in Taraba, Benue, all these areas, Niger, will continue to be targeted, and their targets will continue to be the Reverend Fathers, the pastors. All these things are done by the Islamists. When you see the bandits do it, they will release once ransom is paid. But when you see them being killed, even if ransom is paid, most many of them are virtually Islamists. They're in the hands of Islamists. So it's difficult for people
Um,
to understand this. But
in,
money
in,
is
in, Yes, indeed, I can appreciate that, Senator. And I wanted to ask, to what extent is government involved with them? Yes, governments don't usually want to be seen to be engaging with these people, but governments have their ways and means. I don't know. Sometimes you don't even know if Sheikh Gumi, for example, just for example, is on the right side of government on this because, he goes out there, he gets a lot of flack sometimes. But I imagine there are ways and means. So I wanted to ask, is government also in touch, no matter how informally, with ISWAP as well? Because where I'm leading up to, the next question that I'm going to be asking after you explain this to us is, so what can be done to stop the spread of ISWAP? But the first one first, is government in contact with these people, and can anything reasonable from our point of view, when I say our, I mean the Nigerian state, be done to stop this advance?
Well, whether government is in touch with them or not can only be answered by Nigeria's intelligence agencies because they are constitutionally empowered and at liberty to reach out to both bandits and terrorists, sometimes with the purpose of negotiation or dialogue or something like that. But uh, there is a point in the sense that Gumi's intervention was mostly with the bandits, where
Okay.
he visited in Niger State, in um, Zamfara State, is more or less in dialogue with the bandits. And I don't think that Sheikh Gumi will find it uh, more comfortable to sit down with the Islamists because as far as the Islamists are concerned, any Islamic cleric who is trying to use the scriptures to discourage them from their armed action, they tag him as an enemy. If you can remember, you just have to go down and see how Shekau has been raining abuses on Sheikh Gumi when Sheikh Gumi was preaching against all those things. Yeah. There are a number of Islamic clerics in North that were killed by Boko Haram. Sheikh Jafar in Kano was killed by Boko Haram. Sheikh Albani in Zaria was killed by Boko Haram. So, who were preaching against them. So, Sheikh Gumi's intervention is a catch-22 situation. He intervened between Nigerian states and the bandits, trying to see how this issue can be resolved. But the recommendations which will come out of such negotiation are virtually not implemented. In 2011, I took the risk of reaching out to Boko Haram families to organize a meeting. Then I never knew who to contact with. I only spoke with. And then I reached out to President Obasanjo, who spoke to Jonathan, President Jonathan. And then we went to Maiduguri and sat down with the Boko Haram families and some few representatives from the group. But that effort was sabotaged by the fact that the security apparatus, defense apparatus that surround the president at that time perceived our own intervention as an attempt to render them useless or to intervene in areas which they. So they believe that they have the firepower to crush Boko Haram at that time. So even all the recommendations that were made at that time, President Obasanjo tried to reach out to the government, but the military establishment at that time felt they can crush the group within a very short period of time. So I virtually have to tell them that the government don't appear to be interested and I'm pulling out. And I pull out. And this is the same frustration that is being faced with Sheikh Gumi over his reach out to his bandits. The bandits will come with a set of demands of this is what they want. Then who's going to implement them? Is it the state government, with limited resources, or is it the federal government? Virtually, you have a situation, you have kidnapping as an industry, you also have the military industrial complex as an industry. Nigeria has spent over 4.2 trillion naira in the last 7 years in the name of defense and security and war against terror. You can remember about $1 billion was used to purchase Tucano aircraft from the United States. Recently, about $995 million was allocated for the purchase of attack helicopters. So it appears very well that it is also a profiteering engagement on the side of the apparatus of the state. So when you are caught in between this, it becomes too complex. What we need now, if you interview President Buhari, he will tell you that I have given the military all they need to fight. I have provided them with all the resources. And it's not far from the truth. I can't remember. There was an interview granted by the Minister of Finance where she said that within two years, she has released she has released over two 1 point something trillion to Nigerian army under Burutai at that very time. This was different from special allocation that the army chiefs will go to the president for him to approve for them and funds will be released. So you can see we keep on pumping money and there is virtually no result.
No
So
result.
it is all about action that need to be taken. The president, the country must be resolved. If an attack happens, somebody has to pay the price for it. The Nigerian Defense Academy attack,
one moment,
soldier was
Senator.
killed, was kidnapped. Nobody was punished. Yes.
Okay, one moment, Senator. We're going to go on a break now, a short break. We'll come back and we'll continue with this. We're speaking with Senator Shehu Sanni, public affairs analyst and opinion moulder. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. And we're having this conversation with our Senator Shehu Sanni, public affairs analyst and also opinion molder. He's also quite an expert in the area of terrorism and the analysis of what's going on. And we've been talking with him on the spread of ISWAP. If you've been with us from the top of the program, for those who aren't too sure about the details, he sort of clarified the difference between Boko Haram and an offshoot group of them that has become ISIS now and that is getting technical assistance from Central Command, shall we say, ISIS itself. Do I have a caller on the line? I think Reverend Dominic is on the line. Good morning, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, and good morning to your guest, Sanni there.
Yes, thank you. Please go ahead with your comment or question.
Yeah, you know I'm not much interested to know the difference between the bandits and the Boko Haram and the ISWAP because they have common signatures.
You went with us from the beginning of the program.
So I'm not interested to know the difference of.
Oh, you're not interested to know. Okay, because they all seem to have a common objective. I get you. Please continue.
To kill, to mean, to destroy. I think what we should be concerned ourselves here, Yori. Now we are in election time. We're talking about qualification of people who will lead us, whether they have PhD degree or not. Yori, I think what we need is a common sense. Yori, there was an attack in Correctional Center in Owerri. And they have gone on and on and on. So this one is about always or fifth or sixth times, if I'm not mistaken. Now, common sense could have tell us we need to protect Correctional Center. I heard the Minister of Interior, that said that it will not happen again. It has happened again. What happened? So I heard him to say, I heard somebody say that we should put military there. Do we need to tell people who govern us today in Nigeria that both our Correctional Centers need to have soldiers? Do we need PhD degree holders to do that? It doesn't apply a common sense. There's no common sense here. And if we continue this trajectory, what that plays in my head is this, that one day we'll be overrun by either Boko Haram or ISIS because there seems that nothing is happening. There's something to say here that it makes common sense. How do you put 60, 70 people in one room, knowing their activities in one room? You just scatter them all over part of Nigeria so that even though there's an attack, you can't take all of them at the same time. You put them in one place and they came. There's a conspiracy theory I may send to you. Somebody said that since the Kaduna incident, they have been asking to release of these 64 people, and Nigeria refused to. And because Nigeria doesn't want to release them, we will criticize them. They make a new way. This way of disposing and commandoing to break themselves and take their 64 people. And what you're pleading now they are taking their 64 people, they should release these people they kidnapped in Kaduna for Christ's sake. They have taken their own men, they should release Nigerian innocent people who are in their prison. But if we continue this way, things will go wrong. There's a question Mr. President asked yesterday, like me and you. Mr. President asked a question like commoner. How did this happen? There was no attack. There was no one killed. And they did all this and escaped in such prison position in Abuja. How did it happen? That is Mr. President's question. It's your question, it's my question. Which means who is in charge of Nigeria? If Mr. President will answer that kind of question. Thank you and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. Senator, coming back with something of a bang there because now we're hearing it from, shall we say, people who are sitting on the other end of this particular seesaw, the public, that often find themselves in the crosshairs of either Boko Haram or ISWAP. And as Reverend Dominic was saying there, it's not that important to me, the difference between ISIS and Boko Haram, I beg your pardon, ISWAP and Boko Haram, if there are times when they come together and we, the ordinary people, especially in the case of ISWAP, if we are Christian, we find ourselves in the crosshairs. Now, Mr. President asking, how could this happen? How does this happen? Give me your thoughts on that whole thing, because Mr. President is the person we look to for answers. And if he's saying, how did this happen? What does that say to you about the state of the ship, so to speak?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that people are supposed to provide leadership are themselves asking questions. As a president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Nigerians look up to him for safety, for security, for protection, and for answers and solutions to our problems. I have read the tweet from Mr. President. And then you ask yourself, he said he was disappointed with the intelligence system. And at the end of his tweet, he said he is expecting a comprehensive report from that very intelligence system that disappointed you. And how can you be disappointed with an intelligence system? There are people who are manning that intelligence system. When a prison is attacked, there is somebody in charge of that prison. When a prison is attacked and prisoners escape, there are people in charge of that intelligence system from the beginning to the end. The action a president is supposed to take is to take action on those who have failed in their professional duties and not to come and be asking Nigerians questions which he's supposed to have provided answers for. But it has been his own approach for a very long time, from which Nigerians
Okay,
have
one
paid
moment,
their
please.
lives.
One moment. Well, I beg your
You
pardon,
keep
Senator. One
ministers
moment,
for
please,
8
because
years.
I beg your pardon,
Nobody
Senator.
paid. All right.
Senator Sonny, I'm so sorry. But another caller came on the line. Mazi Okorafo in Arochukwu. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Sayoli. Good morning, Honorable Senator Sanni. Now,
Good morning.
you should be looking at, as the President rightly said, that he needs a comprehensive report. But I would say, suggest to His Excellency that should be asking of comprehensive approach of constitutional action. In the sense that all those things that happened, we need action to do what? To clarify what is going in the security aspect of in Nigeria. Now, the question now is this: Nigerians are asking, those big fish that were there at the Kuje, are they still there? Those big fish that the federal government gave pardon. Nigeria say now, if they are there, they should go to the prison yard and film them. Let us know whether they are still in that prison yard. So Nigeria will be sure that they are telling us the truth or not, whether the ISWAP people carry them out from there. Now, like Reverend Dominic rightly said, the ISWAP people should see the condition of those people at Kaduna enclave and release them, because you said you want to do American style, and like what Obama did, the swabbing. You have swabbed it now. You use your own Rambo way and swab it by your own Rambo way. Why not do the same Rambo way and release ones that already the captivity that you have been keeping them for the past 1 month, which you said if you don't release them, you will not. Now you have carried your people around. So I'm telling the bandits, not those push areas, wherever they are now, release those people you kept in captivity so that the equation will balance. You have succeeded in what you have been asking for. But the question is this. We saw what happened in UK, where Boris Johnson resigned because of booking me down, robbing during parties during COVID-19. The House said he was good. Now, yes, that is why those people in authority, when this is happening, supposed to take a bold step like what Boris Johnson did, because they have failed us because for somebody to come, these are foreigners that already settled down in Nigeria, in very Nigeria prison. At the end of the day, they just did that way and carried what they have been asking for the past months to go. No, but the question is, we have to be very careful. I agree security is a responsibility. When I saw, I've said repeatedly, when I saw military hardware in Owerri, but that 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I was expecting that hardware to be in every way in Nigeria. Thank you very much. Have a great day in Lagos.
Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in Mazi Okorafo. Okay, Senator Sonny, again, it's continuing on the theme of the frustration of the authorities that we should be asking for answers. And the answers that we've got seems to be showing that it doesn't matter what they've said. Either Boko Haram is on the back foot, terrorists, bandits, and as you've just heard, the two components, even though there's a very important distinction between them among professionals, in terms of the members of the public, it's just misery, no matter who is engaging them. And so the question I was going to ask is that, look, ISWAP, is ISWAP spreading? Because they seem to be able to come and go as they choose. And what does this really say? You've explained, and I think I have understood, that it's a complex issue. But could they, we're talking about them now in the Northwest and North Central, could they extend it further?
Well, I don't believe that this country cannot solve the problem of this terrorism. What we need is committed, dedicated leader in Nigeria who will take decision, motivate the military, and do what is right. For example, now, Nigeria is not the only country that is battling these problems. They have been killing soldiers in the Niger Republic, killing them in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Mauritania. It's happening. They also did it in Chad. What do we supposed to do that we are not doing? Now, every of these attacks by these terrorists or bandits take almost an hour. Enough time for the Air Force, for the Army, and for all security agencies to respond to them. We don't do it. I live in Kaduna. We have 23 local governments. It's only 2 local governments today that you can move freely. And even the 2, the outskirts of our city has become a no-go area. Now, this Kaduna state is a state that has the largest presence of Nigeria's military. If we are not safe, where is safe in Nigeria? So you can't tell me that terrorists are about to attack a village and notices are sent and the government and the security agency does nothing until after the attack, and then an hour or 2, then you come to the place. A serious president, a serious leadership will take action on whoever is heading that security agency at any time, even if it requires changing them every day. I've been making this example with Nigerian Defense Academy. It's the nation's premier defense institution. Bandits raided the place, killed a soldier, kidnapped someone, and left. Nobody was sacked, nobody resigned, no penalty whatsoever was meted on anyone. In the last 4 to 5 to 6 years, many times Nigerian prisons have been attacked. It happened in Cotton Karfi. It happened in Plateau State, Jos. It happened in so many places. All you see is the president extending the tenure of these heads of these agencies. People don't pay price for what they have done. Some few weeks ago, a village.
Sorry, Senator. I beg your pardon. There's another caller on the line, and he's been waiting for quite a while. Good morning, Kesandu. Go ahead, please.
Uncle Yori, good morning, sir, and good morning to the distinguished senator. Uncle Yori, I want to say too that I am not interested, like many Nigerians who are listening with me to this program this morning, were not interested to know the difference between these bandits and this ISWAP, because their modus operandi is almost same. They are causing the same havoc and mayhem to the entire country. Uncle Yori, I want to say something. Please, I think it is high time. The major challenge we're having today is the political will to combat this terrorism. Because I describe them as all terrorists, that they are disturbing the peace and progress and economic everything of the Nigerian state. I want to say that what we want is Mr. President must step up to this primary responsibility of protecting the life and welfare of the people. Because let me tell us, it is about political will to do this. Uncle Yori, the panacea to this problem, the first and major panacea, because first step in solving the problem is its identification. Uncle Yori, there is no way, like the explanation the senator is giving, there is no way ISWAP will be in this country, causing this havoc and mayhem, without having an insider in this country. Uncle Yori, what is the duty of the Director of State Security Service? Can we know the people behind this thing? Uncle Yori, that is what I will do as the president of this country. I will spend all I have. I will put in everything, my time, talent, and treasure to make sure that I know the people behind this terrorism in this country. Because Uncle Yori, whatever effort the president might think he's doing today, he is being frustrated by this insecurity. That's just the gospel truth. And without securing the lives and properties of Nigerians, investors will not come in.
Our life depends on how secured we are. Uncle Yuri, I want Mr. President to look inward. If there are people who are behind this thing, please, sir, if after the investigation, make them, in fact, publish their names and pictures everywhere. Let the Nigerians take up this thing. Let us know who are behind this.
You're talking about that impunity thing. Thank you very much, Case Andrew, for calling in. Senator, you were also speaking just before I had to, break away to take that call. The fact that impunity seems to reign after some action, we don't see any repercussions and that kind of a thing. Now, often when we're having these kind of conversations, as you said earlier, you don't believe that Nigeria, the Nigerian army or Nigeria as itself cannot confront and address this problem. But the phrase political will often comes into it. Now, as you have played politics at the very highest level, you're Senator of the Federal Republic, how much does this political will, as a lot of commentators speak of, how much does it come into it? The political will to do the right thing, whatever that concept may be. How much does it play into the situation we have?
Yes, but I will respond to the two callers first of all. Well, knowing the difference in these terror groups is also finding the solutions to them. For example, in the southeastern part of Nigeria, you have government or non-government, you have hoodlums, you have separatists. It's not ISWAP and Boko Haram that is the southeastern part of Nigeria. They are burning INEC offices, attacking soldiers, burning police stations, slaughtering legislators. It's happening in the southeastern part of Nigeria. So it's also good to know that those who are doing it that part of the country are different from those who are doing it in northern part of Nigeria. So knowing the difference and the approach is also very important. It's finding solutions to the problem. Now, the issue, the political will, as we are talking about, the president has not demonstrated any serious political will. It's not enough about giving the military the funding, the equipment they need. But even that comes to question. The last chief of army staff, when he took over, one of his first presentations before this National Assembly was that he doesn't have funding, he doesn't have equipment, and he met nothing. And this was the same military that were funded in trillions under Brutai. What happened? This is where we are. Why I'm saying that the political will is needed is that if a facility is attacked, for example, the military installation in Suleja was attacked, and soldiers' families were killed, and all those things happened. Who was in charge of that? Who were the people that are supposed to perform their duty as professionals? Why have they not been penalized? Why have they been sacked? If I'm the president of the country and the NDA was attacked, I will sack whoever is the person in charge of defense in Nigeria. I will sack whoever is inside of NDA in Nigeria. Whoever takes over after him will know that there is a consequences if you fail in your duty. This is not done. The president appoints ministers to spend 8 years in office, whether they perform or they don't perform, they are there permanently. It's as if when he hands over an appointment letter to you, he attaches with a guarantee that whatever you do, you will still be there. If you have a leader in Nigeria today, this problem can be solved. And that leader has to put in place security chiefs who are ready to do the job without fear or favor, without consideration for any ethnicity, any religion. It's simply about protecting and securing the Nigerian state. You have a situation where bandits in 300 motorcycles will go to a village, operate for 2 hours. You ask, where is the army? Where is the Navy? Where is the Air Force?
Exactly.
Where is the police?
Exactly.
Where is the DSS?
And that's where conspiracy theories begin from. People begin to suspect or smell a rat, so to speak.
I have read yesterday that about 100 soldiers are guarding the Kuje prison as of yesterday. Where were these 100 soldiers before the attack? You ask questions. And
yes.
Look at
one moment, Senator. Sorry, sir. Let me bring in Emmanuel. Has also called in from Otukpo. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Greetings to the most distinguished senator.
Thank you very much.
I've come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. This situation of Nigeria, things are getting out of hand. And it is very unfortunate that our president is allowing things to go this way. I have a lot of regards for my president. But there seems to be compromises here and there. That is what I suspect. That's the reason why it is now true that what General Sani Abacha is quoted to have said, that if there is insurgency in a country for more than 48 hours, that government's hand is in need. It cannot be more than the truth. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Indeed. Well, really, is that it? Because time is at a premium. Thank you very much for calling in, Emmanuel. Interesting little quote that a lot of us also know, that if an insurgency goes on for a certain period of time, you can begin to suspect the hand of government in it. First of all, would you dismiss that out of hand?
Well, there is no reason to dismiss it because there is the hands of security agencies, bad eggs among them into it. I will give you a typical example. These bandits collect hundreds of millions every day. But when each one of them is arrested, you will not even see a shirt of 2,000 naira on his body. Where does this money go? If not for security agencies, if there is no hand of security agencies, how is it possible for bandits to collect over 200 million naira for every attack on public schools and nobody traces it? For example, I read somewhere that 2 policemen were arrested after contacting the people who attacked Kuje prison. This is to show you that the terrorists have even infiltrated our security agency. And that is why you need heads of security agencies to be sacked, even if it requires sacking them a week, before we get the right people who will do this job here. I don't believe that a nation of 211 million people will be held hostage by bandits, criminals, terrorists, and hoodlums and unknown government who are less than 10,000 in this country. We just cannot afford it. If not,
well, Senator, we're going to have to leave it here. But for me, in this conversation, when you said that you don't believe that Nigeria is at the mercy of these groups or that it is incapable of handling them, that seemed to me to be a high point, something to mull over. While we continue, unfortunately, the only thing we can do is continue to hope for some of the things that you have said, and that people are also saying that the time will come when the leadership will be such that we can begin to breathe a sigh of relief. For now, as you activists say, I guess it's a luta continua. I want to thank you very much, Senator Shehu Sanni, for taking time this morning to talk with us about this important subject. Thank you very much, Senator Shehu Sanni.
Thank you.
All right, then. So that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.